open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
Good morning, Kentuckiana. Welcome to Kentucky's Voice. I am Debbie Robbins, your host for today. I want to welcome all of you in the Louisville listening area that are on 970 AM. It's great to have you with us, and also those that are watching locally on Spectrum TV, Channel 21, WBNA. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, our goal each day on this show is to serve the conservative voice, your voice, giving Louisville and Kentucky's conservative perspective mainly on local and state politics, but also always addressing the national issues of the day that they trickle down and they really affect all of us. So I want to say, first of all, if you would like to be a part of the program today, text us, email us, but text us at 502-571-0970. I really love getting your comments. I want to know what you think. This is your voice. We want to hear from you. We have a great show planned for you today. We're going to be hearing from our own Jim Waters, who, along with Tom and Bob, they're all at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville. It's a wonderful place for them to be right now, but I'm excited that Jim is going to join us from there, and he's going to be discussing a very important case that had a ruling yesterday from the Kentucky Supreme Court, came down yesterday regarding Kentucky charter schools. This has been an issue that Jim has poured a lot of time, a lot of heart into, and has a lot of passion about, and all parents as well. I mean, we all are very concerned about this. He'll be joining me right after the break, and we look forward to having Jim from Nashville. And at the bottom of the hour, you're going to meet Mr. Don Fitzpatrick. He is the chairman of the Republican Party of Jefferson County. And those of you who were with me yesterday heard me speak about our Metro Council races. And he's going to give us an update and tell us about the midterm elections, what the strategy is all about from the local party, and how you can participate. Conservatives getting you on board. You're not going to want to miss this because he's really going to give you some great insight on what's happening. I want to remind all of our listeners that you can watch replays of today's broadcast on Spectrum TV Channel 21. You can see it at 12:30, 4, and 8 p.m. Also, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube. This show is there, and it is your voice. It's Kentucky's Voice. And did you know that Kentucky's Voice is a listener-supported program? And we want to really thank all the sponsors out there who keep us going from day to day. But if you're new to the show or if you've been thinking about supporting us, I hope you'll log on to our website, www.kentuckyvoice.com. That's KYVOICE.com. And there's a place where you can click to give a donation. We really could use your support so we can keep our conservative voices going. And also, we would love it. Again, I want to say, you can also give at the same phone number where you can leave comments and text me. So you can text the word give to 502-571-0970. Again, I'd love you to be a part of the conversation today because this is really going to be a very important show updating us on something. And you know what? Politics when I hear people talk about politics, or they'll say to me, I don't want to hear anything about politics. I don't want to hear it. It has nothing to do with me. Well, I want to say that that is not true. I'd love to be able to live off the grid and not have to worry about anything, but politics has everything to do with us. And this is what I like to tell them. It's a great Martha Gellhorn quote, and maybe if Mr. Producer can put it up, that's great. Here it is. And here's what she says. So here's what you can tell your friends. People often say, with pride, I'm not interested in politics. They might as well say, I'm not interested in my standard of living, my health, my job, my rights, my freedoms, or my future, or any future. If we mean to keep control over what our world lives in, we must be interested in politics. So sit back, join me on this program. We're glad you're here. We'll be right back. This is Kentucky. Okay, I'm not seeing it, Jim. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm really excited that Jim Waters is able to join me this morning. He is a regular host of this show. And Jim, I know that this week you had the opportunity to attend a portion of the National Religious Broadcasters Conference in Nashville. I'm sure that was amazing. And if there's any big highlight you want to share with us, I'd love to hear it.
Well, it was great last night to be with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who came and spoke and gave one of the great defenses of religious liberty, and also talked about how there's a conscious effort to bring that back to the military, which is very interesting, about soldiers and those in our fighting force being grounded in moral truth, moral principles, and not just moral, but spirituality as well. So it was really great to hear that. He really gave a great presentation, and then we heard Seth Rollins with the Babylon Bee. Am I saying that right? It's a satire site. He did a great job. It was just a great night last night at the National Religious Broadcasters. It's really an international conference of Christian communicators, and of course, this program, Kentucky's Voice, Debbie, is as you so aptly introduced it today and talked about it. But we are a Christian conservative, common sense based media outlet. By the way, you can also hear this streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. So even if you can't hear us in the Louisville area, if you're not in the Louisville area, I would encourage you to make it part of your daily habit to check us out live as we stream on YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, it was a great time, and
I bet.
The NRB, it's been a few years since I've been there, and it's really grown. And it was great to see just some of my heroes of ministry. Dr. Robert Jeffress was there, just a great guy. Jensen Franklin, others were there, and it was just a great. Anybody really doing Christian media in America was there, so it's a great time.
That's wonderful. I would have loved to have heard Secretary Hegseth. I spent over 30 years singing for the military, working with chaplains all over the globe. And I know how desperately needed that they are, and that the truth is told to
Yeah.
soldiers. So
Yeah,
I
and the
love
military.
that.
He talked about the chaplaincy, and
Yeah,
how that has been such a key, and they plan to make that a real key. So,
that's great.
the Trump administration, when you look at what they've actually done, and there's a lot of bombast, there's a lot of drama, but when you
Hmm.
look at what has actually happened here,
Yeah.
we have made some great strides in so
Yes.
many ways. And he made a great comment last night about we no longer we train our military, we no longer trans our military. Sending the
Oh,
message
what
that
a great line.
the days of woke ideology determining how our fighting force prepares is over. And
I
he
love it.
got a rousing ovation for that. We'll
I'm
just say that.
sure he
Great.
did. I just,
Yeah.
oh, amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
know that you were so concerned. You've been working in that this week, but you said, "Hey, I want to jump in on the big issue that happened in the last couple of days with the Kentucky Supreme Court coming down on the charter schools." And I know, Jim, that you've poured so much time, so much heart, passion into this issue. So I would like on this segment, would you remind us, revisit it, make everybody
Yeah.
familiar again, and then
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get to continue on and tell us what happened and maybe what we can do, what our House, our Senate can do for Kentucky. I'm just
Well,
going to
yeah.
listen.
Well, no, it's great. And thank you for making some room for me here today. But this really is an issue that we followed a lot here on Kentucky's Voice, as well as, I spent 22 years with the Bluegrass Institute, much of that as the president and CEO leading. And this was one of the issues that we just didn't quite get done while I was there. We got right to work in Kentucky. We began eliminating our personal income tax, just so many good things for our state. But let me say this in terms of the legislature has done its job. Okay. That,
Yes.
that, let's make that clear here in this. Now, there's times that we've had to be critical of the legislature because they allowed politics or whatever to get in the way of doing what was right. But and I like, by the way, your opening statement that we have to be concerned about politics, and we do have to, as
Hmm.
I think, as Christians, as conservatives, be more engaged. That's been part of the problem is we haven't been engaged enough,
Exactly.
and so the left has made a lot of has made a lot of traction because of that. But on this issue, on the issue of school choice in Kentucky, the legislature could not have done a better job, in my view, with a few rare exceptions. But even in those things, the legislature has done its job of recognizing that parents and not bureaucrats, not teachers unions,
Hmm.
uh, not politicians are the best people to determine how our future generations are educated, where they will get their best education. And so in 2021, I'll set this up a little bit. In
Hmm.
2021, the legislature passed House Bill 563, which created a scholarship tax credit program, much like what we find in the One Big Beautiful Bill, where
Yes.
individuals and businesses could donate to a non-profit third-party 501c3 scholarship granting organization, and then they could apply that donation against their state tax liability. The legislature passed this. They overrode the governor's veto, but the court said that the legislature cannot constitutionally fund schools outside of the public school system, or what they call the common schools. And so
Hmm.
they struck it down as unconstitutional. In 2022, the legislature passed House Bill 9,
Okay.
which created a funding mechanism for charter schools. Now, in 2017, the legislature passed a charter school law, bringing charter schools, legalizing, if you will, charter
Hmm.
schools for Kentucky, enabling that, but they didn't fund it at that time. And so in 2022, they passed the funding bill for it. Yesterday, our really incompetent Kentucky Supreme Court, really an embarrassment to our state. Look, this is one of the worst decisions that I've seen. They struck down this charter school law as being unconstitutional.
It's
Uh,
incredulous.
it's just I'm having a difficult time with this in a way because, as you said, there's been no issue I've worked on more than this, and it is maddening the lack of competency, the lack of understanding. When I attended the Supreme Court hearing, I think it was in September, October, early October, I was totally unimpressed by this court. Okay, it has nothing to do with party here. It's not a part. It's the total lack of understanding about school choice in general. I mean, look, we've got 48 states in America that have some type of educational freedom for parents, and they've had it for years. So, but this Supreme Court hasn't even been curious enough or wondered enough to go check it out and find out what those programs actually do and how they actually work. Now, what they said yesterday was that, or what in the decision released yesterday was that charter schools, they compared this to non-public schools. They determined that charter schools are non-public schools. This is incredible. Charter schools are public schools. But here's the difference: is they're run differently than the traditional public schools. They're not controlled by the unions. They're not controlled by the bureaucracy, and they are succeeding in our country and around our country and in the states around Kentucky in educating the most at-risk students from poor, low-income minority homes in many cases. And this court said, no, if you happen to be in Kentucky, you can't have that advantage because this isn't controlled by the union. So what they said was that you can't do public education any differently, even if what you're doing is failing 2/3 of our kids. And Debbie,
that's
only
incredulous to
1 in 3
me.
of our children
Listening
are
to you.
competent. Are competent in reading and math and academic areas. So this is what they said.
So tell me this. I read another report. What did they throw in there about it not passing as an amendment here? How did they use that as an excuse for this?
That again shows their total incompetency because the item that was on the 2024 constitutional amendment involved the scholarship tax credit program, which did not involve public charter schools. It was for non-public schools. And it was apples and oranges, but they used that to give themselves what they thought would be political cover. But what it shows is how uninformed, how unprepared our Supreme Court is, just incompetent. This is a sloppy ruling. This is a ruling designed to codify and satisfy our opponents, because this argument should not have been about common schools, and we should talk about this in the next segment.
What, Jim?
But this argument should not have been about common schools. It should have been, is it constitutional for the legislature to fund a different kind of
I know, and I'll tell you what,
education?
this is such an important issue. When we come back, I look forward to you go ahead and expanding on it, letting us know what can be done, because this is Kentucky's voice. These are our children. Thank you for everything you've done on this, and I look forward to getting into it more when we come back. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
something like that.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm so happy to have Jim Waters here, who is discussing a very important, horrible decision that was delivered by our Kentucky Supreme Court yesterday. He's going to break down for us how they approached it versus how they should have, the wrong way and the right way. I'm just going to give it back to you, Jim. Go for it.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks, Debbie, and please ask your questions here. But let's make sure we talk about what happened here in this case. Our Kentucky Supreme Court allowed our opponents of school choice, opponents of education freedom for parents. Let's make this clear what this is. This is they allowed them to set the parameters for this argument rather than saying we're going to look strictly at what the Constitution said and look at what this bill was and determine if it was constitutional based on that. They allowed
Jim, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. When you say they allowed, I know the court allowed.
The Supreme Court,
They allowed, but who did they allow?
Supreme Court.
Who did they allow? Their attorneys or the other side? I mean,
the Kentucky Supreme Court justices allowed our opponents, their attorneys, they're arguing this, to set the tone for this. And by that, I mean, they allowed this to decline and disintegrate into an argument about whether charter schools fit the common schools designation in the state constitution.
Okay.
But that is not the argument here. Okay. But that's the only way they could justify their decision. Because if they looked at the Constitution as what it says, what the Constitution said when it was ratified, remember 1898. Okay.
Long time ago.
There were funds restricted. There were restricted funds that could only be spent on common schools. That's not the general fund. These are restricted funds. That's all the Constitution said about what the legislature could not fund.
Should have been a slam dunk.
There is nothing in our Constitution that prevents our legislature from funding public charter schools out of the general fund. Now, the legislature funds all types of schools that would not be considered common schools. So what are they going to do with this? But let's stop right there. That's a major point I want everybody to get is there is nothing in our Constitution that prevents our legislature from funding charter schools. If there is, then that means the Supreme Court can determine funding and how tax dollars get spent. But that's not what the Constitution, that's not how we're set up constitutionally. How we're set up constitutionally is that funding decisions are what happens with taxpayer dollars. Those decisions are not made by the governor. They're not made by the Supreme Court. They're made by the legislative branch of the people. That's why it's the legislature's responsibility to pass a budget, which they'll do this session. It's their responsibility to determine how tax dollars get spent.
Jim, that made total sense to me, and I know it did to our listeners. We just had a listener actually text us, and here's the question. They asked, does JCPS have a form of charter schools such as manual and traditional schools? That's the question.
Good question. Yeah. So let's understand what a charter school is versus what those schools are, which are magnet schools. Let me say, I'm not opposed to that. We're for all types of choices for parents. But there is a difference, and it's ironic because we allow magnet schools in this state. Did you know that magnet schools can restrict who comes into their school? They can have admission requirements based on academics, based on how students performed. And this is the big lie that was told by our governor. And, the old saying, you tell a lie big enough, long enough, there will be people who will believe it. We've seen that
Right.
throughout history and with this
Right.
administration. But look, they told the lie that charter schools restricts who can come to their school. The ironic thing is that no public charter school law in America, and there are 46 of them, none of them allow charter schools to pick and choose who can come to their school based on anything, based on income, based on academic performance, based on anything. And yet we allow the Jefferson County Public Schools to have magnet schools, which restrict based often on academic performance of the past, who can come in, who can be admitted to their school.
Hypocrisy in
So
action. So
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So what do we do now?
To that. We're not
Yeah.
opposed to the choices.
Right.
Let's make that clear. But
Right.
we are opposed to this somehow or other charter schools have become politically incorrect. Since when? Around the country, Debbie, it's
Yeah.
not been the white, we'll say, it's not been the white right wingers who have led this fight. Not in Washington, D.C. They have a robust charter school program. Do you think that was led by Republicans? No. It was led by black, liberal, progressive Democrats. Okay.
Wow.
So, but here in Kentucky, the teachers' unions and the bureaucracy and the educrats, they have gone to the mat to protect their territory. They want no competition because they know they are performing so poorly in our public education system. They are afraid that if parents have a choice, especially in Louisville, especially in Lexington, especially in Bowling Green, especially in Northern Kentucky, that they are going to take advantage of it, and they cannot stop it. They don't focus on improving our public education system. Instead, they are determined to keep parents from having these options that are available to parents in every other state around us. Indiana has one of the most robust school choice programs in the country. Tennessee, Missouri, Ohio, even Illinois. Take a look at Illinois and their political setup, and yet who has charter schools? Illinois.
They do.
Who has robust school choice programs? Illinois.
So Jim, tell me this. What now? We have a couple of minutes left in our segment. What now? What are we going to do?
So
we can't give
what
up.
Now is, well, one thing that needs to happen here is, according to the court's definition of common schools, let me make this clear. We've got schools that the legislature is funding that do not fit that description, and they are being funded with the same tax dollars that we wanted charter schools to be funded with. So what are you going to do about the Kentucky School for the Deaf, or the Kentucky School for the Blind, or the Gatton Academy, or at Western Kentucky, or the Craft Academy, or these other schools that don't fit that definition? What are you going to do about that? Now, what the court is counting on is that nobody will do the politically incorrect thing or difficult thing of challenging that. They're counting on that being a political shield against their argument. But that's how sloppy their argument was, and their decision was they didn't even address that. And yet you've got these schools that don't fit this description. So it's very important. It's very important that we understand. Let me say this also.
Okay.
We have members of our Supreme Court in Kentucky, Justice Goodwine from Lexington, who there's an impeachment effort against her in the legislature. She received $200,000 worth of ad spending from the Jefferson County Teachers Association, the Jefferson County Union. She was openly endorsed in a nonpartisan race by Governor Andy Beshear, the all shucks, I'm just a moderate kind of guy who vetoed legislation banning gender
mutilation, of mutilating
and all
children.
that.
Right.
So this is the governor. But here's the thing: is this Kentucky Supreme Court justice who ruled against school choice did so at the behest of her funders, which are the Jefferson County Teachers Union, spending $200,000 in advertising to get her elected, and the governor also spending money from his PAC as well as endorsing her. This is outrageous.
I know. Well, I hope someone will come up against this. I'm wondering about our Kentucky House and Senate. Is there any way they could pass legislation even now during this session? That was my big question for
The
you.
court said the legislature can't do anything. This is
Ah,
what they don't
okay.
want. They know the
Ah,
legislature. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is not what our foundings. But I know we got just a few seconds, but let me say
oh
this:
gosh.
this is not what our founders intended. They intended for the legislative branch to lead the way when it came to policy and how that's funded.
So they've
And this
basically
Supreme Court has
overruled the
no right
people.
to
They've
step into their
overruled the
territory.
people
This,
because
let me
even
say,
though,
this
yeah,
Supreme Court has no right to step into the legislative territory. They have no
no.
right.
I, this is something we're going to have to discuss further next week for sure. And wow, this is something else. So everybody, you have a voice. This is Kentucky's Voice. Thank you so much, Jim. We'll be right
Thanks.
back with Don Fitzpatrick. Thank you, Jim. It's great.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I sure enjoyed having Jim Waters on with us these last two segments. Oh my goodness, that is a topic that I know we're going to be revisiting very soon, probably next week sometime. But I'll tell you what, we're also very blessed today and grateful to have the chairman of the Republican Party of Jefferson County. I got to know this gentleman a few years back. His name is Don Fitzpatrick. I know that he is originally from, I think, Maine, right? He'll tell me in a minute. And he's from the place where the famous Washington painting happened, and I love it. Well, from that area. But he's a great guy. He's been a CEO, a CEO or in a C-suite of companies for many years, very experienced, and has done an outstanding job leading our party in the past 5 to 6 years. So we really appreciate him being here. I've asked him to come on today to explain our strategy at Jefferson County Republican Party, because conservatives out there, Christians, conservatives, this is the party that aligns with our values. These are the people that we need to be, we're all together in this. So the party. So I would like to welcome right now Mr. Don Fitzpatrick. And hey, Don, thanks for coming out today. And as he knows too, I'm also a member of the at-large committee for Jefferson County Republican Party. And I've learned so much, and especially watching you and your leadership. And I want you to explain to the viewers how we had our strategy for 2 years ago and what we're doing now. I'm just going to hand it over to you right now, and I'll throw in some questions when they come up, but tell us all about it.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do, actually, we're going to ad lib here a little bit because, Debbie, we just got our new 5+3.
Oh,
and I'm going to
great.
try to show you So if you said a couple years ago, we actually had a strategy. Hopefully you can see that. It was our 4+3 plan.
And that's our
And
county there. That's Jefferson County,
yep,
all laid
there's
out.
Jefferson County. And that was our plan a couple of years ago. And it worked out pretty well. We decided we were going to focus on, we had to protect 4 seats, and we focused on 3 that we were going to pick up. There were 13 races, but we decided only to run in those 7. Again, 4 we needed to protect. And now, if you take a look 2 years later, here we are. This year, the strategy is protect 5 and pick up 3. And then, frankly, we have, as you see here, 12 Republican seats representing the first majority on our Metro Council since the merger. So that would be historic. Frankly, we've already made a historic gain in 2024 because the most representative Republicans we had ever had prior to that was 11. And in fact, if we were talking 3 years ago, we would have had 19 Democrats and 7 Republicans going into the 2022 race. We picked up 2 in 2022 and picked up 3 more. So we've gone over the last 3 years, last 2 election cycles, we've gone from 19 Democrats, 7 Republicans to 13 Democrats, 12 Republicans, and an independent.
I love that. I love it.
Well, again,
It's red. I'm loving that it's turning red. So keep going. Keep informing
well,
everybody
Debbie,
out there.
again, you got to have a strategy and you got to stick with it.
Exactly.
And that's the point. In fact, this year already, in one of our districts, the opposition, the Democrat, has dropped out. That is in Khalil Batshans, and I just learned this the other day.
Oh.
So he will go straight to being sworn in again for the next Metro Council session next January. And so at this point, it really is protect 4 and pick up 3, just like 2 years ago. And we're excited because we've got great candidates, hardworking candidates. And the other thing, Debbie, that I do believe sincerely that we have the issues that people care the most about on our side.
I
This is
know.
common sense, patriotic, and very, very much focused on the fact that we are a Judeo-Christian country, and we welcome people to come here. At another juncture, I know I'll be back on with one of our candidates, Republican candidates for Congress, Maria Rodriguez.
Yes,
who
I
came
talked
here in
about her on the
2009.
program yesterday a little bit. I talked about her and her story
Yeah.
just a little. And
So there's a lot
yeah,
going on, and we're
there is.
excited. We really
We
are.
are.
We think
Would
this
you-
is a great opportunity.
Yes, would you name if you know, and this is always the big issue for people. They might know the district number, but they don't know if it's where they live. Like last week, we had Lonnie Joseph on, and he was able to explain to everyone, hey, guys, I live near Churchill Downs. I'm by the airport. That's my district. And he did a great job of explaining, where he lived. So we want people to know this is your spot. You've got to be interested in this race. And also name the issues. I know you do. Always name the top 5 that we've been touting for the past 3 or 4 years that concern us the most in Louisville. Just name them off for them.
Okay, well, I'll start with the latter, Debbie, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Public safety has to be number 1.
Yes.
There has been progress made. I'm really happy about what the progress that our 12 Republican leaders have made. The Safer Louisville proposals have been very, very specific, actionable. That's the key, actionable. Are they things that you just talk about and wouldn't it be nice? Or are they things that you actually can make happen to better our communities? So public safety has to be number 1. And by the way, public safety is different in each part of each district in the area. And if you're in District 17 as an example, where I'm in Anchorage North, let's say, public safety, the focus there might be different than in Lonnie Joseph's District 21, where there might be issues, or Jonathan Joseph's, on Dixie Highway, et cetera, where, you need to ensure that as you're bringing restaurants and businesses in, that you also have the ability to look the folks in the eye and say, not only will your employees be safe, but you and your customers and anybody involved can feel very, very secure and coming by, having dinner, having a good time. And again, that's just an example for, a restaurant. If it's a manufacturing facility, the ability to understand that your facility is not going to get broken into. And I
Right.
think we've made a lot of progress on that. And by the way, our team has worked with the mayor and
hmm
with Chief Humphreys. So this is not, I mean, this is not doing it alone. But this is
Right.
having a very strong, and what I would say also that Republicans are bringing to the table is predictability and order.
Yes. And you know what? I
Okay, I mean,
remember to tell everybody also about them having chairmanships for the first time. How many chairmanships do we have on the Metro Council right now?
well, if you looked back in 2016, again, going back for a little perspective, we had one chairman,
hmm
and then that was it
Yeah.
for a number of years. We currently have five out of the 10.
Oh, and that is a part of what brings that order because they can say, "Hey, as a unit together." Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yep,
Keep going. Keep going.
absolutely. So the other thing too, but I want to emphasize that the more elected officials and those aspiring to be elected officials can say, this is what we will do upon election or upon re-election, and be clear about the objectives. And
hmm
having done the homework, that those objectives are very specific to that district, that Metro
hmm
Council district, and also explain how it's not just how it's going to improve this district, it's going to help our city overall. And I
Absolutely.
think that's where the predictability and then sticking with it, because we all need to be held accountable for
hmm
different things in our lives. Politicians who become elected officials, they need to have that same level of accountability. And I think that's what our team is holding themselves to first and foremost, which is so
Yes.
important. So, again,
Yes.
after public safety, I would say improving our infrastructure.
hmm
And again, those are differences. That really is a unique district by district set of scenarios.
hmm
We have some districts where there's a lot of building going on, and yet the residents are saying, okay, we have no problem with some of the building, but boy,
hmm
I used to be able to get to work in 15 minutes, and now it's
Right.
taking me 25.
I'm a victim of that in my area where I live. It's just you've got
Yeah.
to have public safety and the zoning and the planning. Those are big issues depending on where you are from in the county. Exactly. Yeah.
It is, Debbie, and we want to grow Louisville. And,
Yes.
and in order to grow, you have to have not only businesses, you have to have good job opportunities,
hmm
education. You have to have really solid infrastructure to support all that. And, that takes time and it takes money. But I honestly believe, again, getting back to predictability,
hmm
saying what you're going to do,
hmm
planning your work,
Right.
and working your plan and holding yourself accountable is something that any one of the folks that we speak with here at the
hmm
party that are considering running for office. And again, we now have, after January 9th, all the candidates are in. So,
And there's a
but
lot of
anybody,
them, and we have a lot
there
of
are.
great candidates, I think, Don,
Yes,
don't you think? It's
we have
amazing.
some really great candidates,
And
Debbie.
our people yesterday, some questions I got in during the show was how do
Yeah.
we find them? And I was saying if they can go to our website, they can go to the Facebook page, and we really need to make sure, I'm sure it's being updated if it hasn't already, to know who these candidates are. And another thing when we get back from the break, let's talk a little bit about this nonpartisan issue. First, how to help people know our candidates, find them because they are amazing. And we have a great plan. Oh my gosh, I've been so excited to be a part of it. So when we get back, let's talk some more about that and some other issues as well. So anything you want to say before we get to the break? It's coming up soon, but one more
Well,
thought.
I'm just pleased that you're doing this, because if there's anybody that can actually captivate people with their voice, it's you and your
Oh,
presence, and you help our candidates so much by helping them and me personally learning how
Oh,
to project better and
thank
also
you.
we appreciate you, Debbie.
I love it.
And,
Well, I love this show, and the hosts of the show are amazing. Everyone involved with Kentucky's Voice. But people out there listening, you are Kentucky's Voice. What you have to say is so important. Would you please text me right now? Give me some questions for Dawn. Please do it right now, and we look forward to hearing from you. And we're going to be right back. Thanks.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us, speak up, stay strong. You are Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Don Fitzpatrick, the chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, and we want your thoughts and questions at 502-571-0970. That's 502-571-0970. Don was talking about the metro races, and I'm just going to turn it back over to him and let him go.
Well, hey, Debbie, thank you. And you mentioned nonpartisan. I think this is really important, okay, because for the Metro Council and the mayoral races, they are nonpartisan this year.
Yes.
What does that mean? That means essentially, number one, that when you have your ballot, and of course we each get a unique ballot based on the districts we live in, who's running, that we can vote on. When you have that ballot, it's going to start out with the traditional partisan races. So a congressional candidate, state representative, state senator, et cetera. And then and if you decide, if you're one of the voters, and some do, they just say, okay, click all Democrat or click all Republican, and you turn your ballot in, that's not good.
No.
Because there are going to be a number of nonpartisan races and that essentially will then come right below that. So I'm going to ask all of your listeners, please, when you get into the ballot booth, just make sure you continuing to follow down, because you will see the mayor's race. You will see the Metro Council race if you have a Metro Council race in your particular district. Not
Yes,
everybody
because
does.
it's staggered every 2 years, right? Only
That is
half of them,
right.
right?
It's staggered every 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and last 2 years ago it was even, and this year it's odd, right?
Right.
So, in any event, but one thing I want to point out, Debbie, is that, and I credit the county clerk's office. If you go out to the election center, there is a little you can click on right up front. You
Mm-hmm.
are asked if you want to look at the candidates that have filed, but also there's an explanation of nonpartisan election Q&A. And easy to get to. You click on it, you download a
Yes.
PDF, and it's a great Q&A. But what's going to be required, and this is both for the Democrat and Republican parties, we're all going to be working to get the word out that, number one, everybody votes in the primary. It's
Right.
what's called a jungle primary. It's no
Right.
longer, again, for nonpartisan races, it's no longer Democrat, Republican lanes.
Mm-hmm.
It's one lane, whether it's three candidates, five
Mm-hmm.
candidates, seven candidates, I think, in one of the districts. You're going to
Right.
vote, and
And
the
you
top
mean and you
two will
mean
go to
just for the
November.
and you mean just for those nonpartisan races because you still
That is
can
correct.
vote because when you show up it is partisan as far as the primary whether you will get a Democrat ballot or a Republican ballot, but those nonpartisan races has all the names of both
Yep.
Democrats and Republicans. That's what you're saying, right?
That's absolutely correct.
For Metro
That's absolutely
Council.
correct.
Yeah.
So, on I guess it's a good thing. We've got a lot of friends of ours and you do as well, that are registered independents.
Yep.
In the past, as
They
it
couldn't
pertains
vote.
to partisan races, it will continue this way.
Mhm.
On their particular ballot, they will not see in this case, congressional,
Mhm.
state races, et cetera, because they are partisan races. So if you're an independent, that's not going to appear on your ballot. You're just going to
Right.
see the ones that are nonpartisan that
Mhm.
pertain to where you live and where you vote. So,
Yes, and I'm
uh,
an election officer, and that's going to be another step for us that we will have to make sure we issue the right ballot. Because when you come to me with your ID, I look you up, it lets me know if you're an I or an O, which is other, or if you're a D or an R, and I have to give you the right ballot. So people have to pay attention as voters as well. You're right.
Exactly. And the good news for independents, for the Metro Council and the mayor race, you got a chance to vote. Whereas, again, in the partisan races, you wouldn't have that opportunity. So, we believe me, we'd love to have more and more people register Republican.
Yes,
And as you know, we're
yes.
working on that.
And
But
we're
in any
doing
event, in
pretty
the
well,
meantime,
though. We're doing pretty
we
well
are. We've been picking up
statewide.
share, in the last year or
Hmm.
so, we've been picking up share here in Jefferson County. We're very proud of that. The other thing I do want to mention, we need poll workers. You
Yes.
just mentioned, Debbie, you've done it in the past, and
Hmm.
I've done it as well. It's a great experience. You got to get up early, but you're going to spend. It's a long day. Let's face it. But it is so fulfilling to be part of that process in this
It's
manner.
great.
I certainly have enjoyed it when I've done it. I know you've done it for a
I've
long
done it
time.
for over 20 years. It's
Yep.
amazing. Yep, it's
Yep. So
great.
please, we need poll workers. And I'm going to say specifically right now, we need Republican poll workers.
Hmm.
2 years ago was the first time we had Republican poll workers in every single polling location.
And that was huge. And it's
I
not
mean,
that we're lazy
1,130.
people. It's just
Yep.
Republicans are always so busy that just the way we think, people they think, "Oh, that's a lot to give up," but it's so worth it. And I wanted to
It
say
is.
again, I wanted to throw out real because our time it always runs out so fast. But I want to say, people can will you let them know that they can go to our Facebook page or our website, and we're going to have all of the candidates listed there, all of our Republicans, and then they can Google them, look them up, their Facebook pages to get their backgrounds, their bios, so they know whom they can choose from and participate in events. I had a big segment on that yesterday on how to participate. But then also, I want you to let us know this is so critical. This is absolutely the most important, what we've been talking about, but also our Senate race. What's coming up with that? What other events are coming up that people can know about and look forward to? And anything else you want to say on how they can help or be involved? Putting it back in your
Well,
hands.
again, Debbie, I'll reinforce. We'd love to have you work the polls if you've done it before,
Hmm.
because heck, again, 2 years ago we had a full contingent of 1,100 plus people that were Republicans, so we didn't have to
Hmm.
combine things, et cetera. So in any event, we need that again. So on March 16th, the big news, and this will be announced, very shortly, as in hours.
Right.
On March 16th, we're going to have the first Republican Senate debate
Hmm.
in this primary, and it will include the three candidates that have by far raised, the most money, that consistently appear in the polls individually. And again, that's Andy Barr, Nate Morris, Daniel Cameron, and we will have a lot of information out on that on our website. We'll be announcing soon, and I
Hmm.
expect tickets to go on sale on Tuesday morning. But it'll be at the Henry Clay. It'll
Hmm.
be the first Republican Senate debate. As you know, Debbie, we led the
Hmm.
way back in the 23 gubernatorial election,
Hmm.
and we're going to have 300 to 350 excited people sitting in
Yes.
the ballroom watching a live debate.
Yes. Do you
It's going to
know
be fun.
it is? And what is the ticket price, Don?
$75,
Yes, and
and
I
they'll
just
go
want
on
to,
sale.
yeah,
Yep.
I want to say that is affordable because you are providing food and seats there, and it's a lot of expense to put on an event. Hey, we just had a text that said we really need to know the Republicans. Really need to educate people on the names of our candidates of who are running, and that's what people keep saying. So if you have a list in front of you and you want to just name them down, and
Oh,
you don't
absolutely.
have to comment on them, just list them so people as they're listening, and then we'll put it on the website again and on the Facebook page so people can find them. So go ahead.
Super.
Yeah.
So in District 7, think kind of Linden South.
Mhm.
That's Catherine Cat Timmerman.
Mhm.
In District 11, Kevin Kramer is defending that seat. By the way, Kevin last year was elected to be the head of the National League of Cities. Quite an
Yeah.
honor. But
He's a
he's the
fantastic guy. Fantastic.
fantastic guy. And again, he's the chair of the budget committee, to your point earlier about
Mhm.
committee chairman steps. Very important. So Kevin is running in District 11 to defend that seat. We have Dan Syme Jr. in District 13. And also in District 17, we've got a Democrat held seat. This is one of the three we're going after, and our candidate is Nancy Lynn Walters. By virtue of the fact that there are three candidates, two Democrats and one Republican, there will be a primary race on May 19th. The first three that I mentioned, 7, 11, and 13, will not have a primary race on May 19th.
Mhm.
Then we go to 19. We have two Republicans running. Actually, the Democrat recently dropped out, and that's Councilman Anthony Piagentini and Alex Faria, who's very active in the Republican Party and one of one of the leaders in the Cuban community. And then in 21, that's a busy one. We've got where Republicans are involved. We have Lonnie Joseph, who is going up against three candidates, including the Democrat incumbent Betsy Rui, and then 23, and there will be a primary for that. And then in 23, there are two Republicans and one Democrat. Jeff Hudson is our Republican incumbent, and Jeff is, I'll tell you, I think he's already knocked a few thousand doors. Jeff is, boy, they're all hard workers, but Jeff really delivers. He is out there knocking on doors aggressively. He's done a great job for us as well
Hey, quick
on the
question.
council.
Quick
And then
question.
Khalil
Yeah. Oh,
Batshon
that's
does not
right.
have
Mhm.
in 25
Mhm.
a competitor because that person dropped out.
Hey, Don, quick question. Where there's four people, uh, do they take the top two? Do they take the top one? Because it looks like there could be a tie. What happens?
It's always the top two.
Okay.
And where there
Oh,
is
that's
not
right,
a
because it's
primary
nonpartisan.
race,
Yeah, it's nonpartisan.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Right. There we go.
Two of them will come out of the jungle primary,
Okay,
Debbie.
got you. There. Okay.
So
It's hard to wrap our head around it because it's new. So, all right.
it is.
Yes. Now, how about for Congress and mayor? Who's running? Even though we just have about a minute and a half left, so who's running?
Yeah.
If you remember
Okay,
them all, you may not have that
let me
list in
just
front
shut
of
the
you.
door real quickly here.
All
Sorry.
right.
So for Congress, there are a couple of candidates that have filed to run against our incumbent Morgan McGarvey. I'll share them alphabetically. Daniel Cobble,
Mhm.
David Joseph Nichter, Donald Pay, and Maria Teresa Rodriguez.
Yes.
They will have a
And for
primary on
mayor,
May 19th.
yes, they'll have a mayor. Who are the mayoral candidates? We have a minute left.
Mayoral candidates, Jeff Yoakum,
Mm-hmm.
Bob DeVore, Lisa Holiday Harris, Tina Bunnell, and Stephen DeTillo are the
Right.
Republicans that are running. So we have 5 Republicans in the mayoral race.
Mm-hmm.
And again, similar to Metro Council, they will come out. 2 of them, 2
Mm-hmm.
candidates will come out and then continue on to November.
And Morgan McGarvey's on that race again. So again, it's just hard to wrap our head around it because it's nonpartisan. Yeah, we're
Well,
down
again,
to 30.
Craig Greenberg is defending his mayoral
Yes,
situation.
right.
His-
Oh, I
and
forgot.
then
That's right.
Morgan
I'm
is
sorry, I mixed
defending
it.
the
Right.
congressional district.
Right. Oh my goodness. Dawn, we cannot thank you enough. This is so valuable. You've got to come back. You promise? And we're going to bring some other candidates on with you. And we really appreciate you being here. Now, Kentucky, again, this show is for you. This is Kentucky's Voice. We love hearing from you. It's wonderful to be with you today. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. God bless.